Hey guys, Tyler Ansman here with Tyler Ansman Performance. So today we're going to go through round 2 of our Q&As submitted by athletes, other folks online. And so we're going to get through about 4 questions today. First one, talking pitch development here. How do you use MLB comps to assist you? Do you think of ways you've seen kind of pros do stuff when applying it to athletes, or do you individualize the athlete from the pros? Okay, so I think I'm gonna reframe this a little bit to kind of make this make a little bit more sense in my head. So the first piece, yes, we use MLB comps, and we use them in kind of 2 different ways. So one, a lot of the pitch tracking data, right, is obviously available online, Baseball Savant, other places like that. So we can use a lot of these kind of meaningful, kind of this arsenal data to help us kind of apply that to other pros who we have, and then certainly the amateur level as well. And I think there's a couple of things to kind of take from this. So we can see in terms of different arsenal types, what pitch types tend to fit with that, what we're looking for in terms of velocity bands, in terms of kind of a difference from the fastball to whatever breaking pitch it might be, and kind of shapes that we're looking for, again, in these kind of different arsenal types we can use. The other way we also use this in terms of MLB comps would be kind of like movement preferences, right? So we have, kind of general athlete archetypes and buckets we could put guys into. So a lot of times it's helpful when we do like a mechanical analysis to kind of help us frame this for athletes that we're doing an intake with. For other kind of higher level guys, what this looks like in terms of this kind of movement style and all of these things. So we could do that in kind of both ways. But do we individualize it? Absolutely. I mean, I don't think anything is going to be like a one-to-one, right? So like if you're a guy who, you've got this big carry fastball, we can look at guys like maybe Mason Miller, for example, if you have a similar slot to him and similar fastball characteristics to him. Obviously, you probably don't throw 103, but we could take certain things from that in terms of what shapes and kind of secondary stuff has been successful for him. I think if you're at the same level as him, it's a little bit easier maybe to apply those in terms of how you attack specific hitters. But if we're going down levels, obviously that's going to change to some degree, right? When you're facing a major leaguer versus a high school hitter, it's going to be a little bit different in terms of how we're sequencing pitches and all of these things. But yeah, I think the comps can be very helpful in terms of, certainly building out our in-house Stuff Plus model. These are things that we're looking at, as well as our kind of pitch data from our TrackMan. But things along those lines do help when we're talking about building out arsenals for guys. Okay. Second question, when an athlete comes in for their intake, what are some key factors that go into the decision making for building their program? Okay, so when guys come in, kind of the things that we're going through first, so when we start their assessment process, we're going to talk to them first. So we're going to talk about training history, injury history. If there is an injury history, we're going to dig deeper into that. We're going to talk about maybe how long ago it was, what kind of led to this. If they have, kind of a decent kind of training track record, we're going to talk to them about what they've done before, what they've liked, what they haven't liked, what they feel like has been helpful for them. All of these things are important pieces when we talk about not only obviously the injury history goes to the physiological piece, but the psychological piece in terms of preferences, things they like, things you're going to get buy-in from. All of that is really important because if people don't believe in a certain part of the training program, or they really love a certain thing, there's a lot of ways to kind of get the results that we're after if we understand the principles behind it. So if somebody, is like, man, I really love safety bar split squatting. Like if that can be some part of the program, like, yeah, whatever we're going for, we can tailor it around that movement. If they, absolutely love that movement, it needs to be a part of it. Or if they're like, hey, I really, really hate trap bar deadlifting. Like I feel like I've had back issues in the past. Maybe this is maybe what did it to me, whatever. Yeah, it doesn't need to be a part of the program. So there's a lot of ways we can get after the piece we're getting at. So that's the kind of the first piece, is just talking to them prior to us doing anything. Then it's the assessment part actually begins. And so this is where we'll get them on the table, we'll do the passive and active range of motion, all that kind of stuff. We're going to go through some basic mobility stuff where we're going to kind of check where they're at. We have kind of bandwidths that we allow based on kind of the data from our guys in different kind of velocity and kind of performance ranges. And then from there, we'll go on to the mechanical analysis. So we'll get multiple angles of slow motion video. We'll get a velocity baseline. Depending on time of year, how ramped up they are and the level of their performance, we may get their full arsenal in the TrackMan. So we have that baseline. Then we'll go through kind of a 60-point breakdown in terms of the mechanical analysis piece. And so we'll see, what do they do really well? What makes them special that we definitely want to make sure we keep? What is an area of opportunity that we could make better? And then what's a red flag that we definitely want to make sure we address? And we kind of go from there in terms of what are the really big rocks right now that we can choose to most affect these the outcome that we're looking for. Kind of the next piece then after that would be a load velocity profile. So we're going to do a variety of upper and lower body ballistic movements with and without the stretch shortening cycle. We can get a lot of data from this in terms of some other kind of deeper pieces as well. And then the final piece would be some isometric strength testing. So we're going to get all of these measures for these guys. And this kind of gives us our jumping off point in terms of where are we going, this off-season, in-season, whatever period of time it is. And so in terms of the factors that we're looking at, what is their injury history? What is their training history? What level are they currently performing at? What time of year is it, and what other kind of obligations do we have, right? Somebody who's in season for basketball during the winter, but it's their off season for baseball, their program's going to look a little bit different than somebody who's not playing a winter sport and is just getting ready for the spring baseball season, right? Our guys who are coming off of their really long minor league season, right? And then maybe they go to instructs and stuff after that. Those guys, their off season's going to look a little bit different than the guys who are coming from their college fall season is kind of winding down. And so it's going to be different based on kind of all those things. And then what are the things that make them tick? So we have kind of these athlete archetypes, right? So kind of, one super well-known one is, kind of muscle versus elastic driven. Well, if they're elastic driven, does that mean we're going to do a ton of like high force, like, deep squatting type stuff, all of this and like never jump them at all, never do any elastic quick contact stuff? No, like we need to keep a thread of what makes them special. And throughout the year, we can fluctuate in terms of which buckets we're filling more or less, but that stuff always needs to be present. So we're looking at those things. We're looking at, what do they need to do in the offseason in terms of specific on-field stuff? So is it they just need to throw harder, right? Then we're going to be developing velocity. Is it they've got great stuff, but they walked the house? And we need probably to address command. Is it they just want to feel good again? They haven't been healthy in a year or two. Is it they need to add a second or third pitch? Or is it we need to modify their current arsenal? They have 3 pitches, but none of them are really where we need to get them to yet. We need to address those things. So it really depends on all of those pieces. Those are kind of the factors we're looking at, and then we can drive the program based around those things. Okay. That I kind of already addressed this one, but how do you lean into what an athlete does really well, and how do the adjustments help play into the qualities that maybe they don't have at the highest level? And so this is kind of what I was talking about. So if we get somebody who does, this one thing really well, they're the elastic driven guys, so they probably have like super high RSIs as kind of one example, or some other kind of reactive measure that you may use. They're going to do those things really, really well. So we want to make sure we keep those things in there at all times, touched up where we need them to be. Now, in the early offseason, when we're farthest away from competition, can we do less of those things and more of the things that they're not as good at? Absolutely. But the things that they're really good at always need to be in there. If you have a superpower, you don't just let it go and work on your weaknesses. No. The superpower is what gets you to that highest possible level. We just need to make the other things a little bit better. But how much can we do at any given time of year is going to vary. So we just want to make sure we always keep a thread of the thing that makes them really good, and we never go too far into the weaknesses, but we're giving them enough where we can address these things where it's not going to be a limiting factor to the point that they're getting hurt or they absolutely can't perform on the field. Do I think a salary cap should be implemented? I don't. If I'm being honest, I think players should always get paid as much as they can. I think if we look at especially LeBron James from when he was in Miami, for example, right? Certainly the NBA salaries have gone up every year since then. But at that point, I think he was making like $25 million a year. And conservative estimates by financial folks were that he was worth way above $90 million a year to that franchise. So he was, he'd make a ton of money. Obviously, hard to feel bad for him. He's a billionaire now. But he was objectively underpaid and should have gotten more. And I think if we think about things like, right, how much Shohei's being paid or how much Juan Soto's being paid, think about how much they must be bringing into an organization for it to make it worthwhile for the owners. So I think I don't want a salary cap for that side of it because guys work their entire lives to be able to kind of do this thing at the highest possible level and give their families, a better life and future generations and all these things to kind of make this generational wealth thing happen. So I think they should be able to do that, and they shouldn't be limited by this, kind of arbitrary salary cap. Now, on the other hand, I think the argument for it is that the competitive balance. So you don't have teams like the Dodgers and stuff like this where they have just super teams. And I think that's, fair in one sense as a fan. However, on my side, the player development side, looking at guys, trying to give them the best opportunity to kind of maximize their career earnings, I don't think there should be a salary cap. But I'm open to arguments on the other side of that. So, all right, guys, thank you for watching. If you have other questions, feel free to submit them in the comments. Feel free to shoot us an email. If you want more information about remote or in-house training, feel free to drop us an email as well. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.